name is Mick. I'm head of digital marketing and I do website design and landing page design for Heartbeat Digital. We've been a marketing agency, I think we're 5 years now, but we are with a longer history across other industries as well. And joining me today is Ian Morrison, our Google Ads expert, with 5 years, I think, at Heartbeat Digital as well as our Google Ads expert. And I think, we also started doing online advertising, I think when the bounty arrived in Australia, didn't you, Moz? You've been doing this since the beginning of time. He has a long history. He knows everything that you could possibly know. So he's our expert on Google Ads.
I wish I did know everything there is to know, but there's too much and it changes every day. But we know a fair bit anyway.
You know more than 99% of people, mate. So we're going to be talking about Google Ads. And it's a very complicated, but very lucrative way that you can get your business online. So in this webinar, we're going to cover the basics for a start, how it all works, ad types. We're going to cover landing pages, which is a big thing that we specialize in. We're going to cover how to measure your success or lack thereof in Google Ads marketing, but we'll all be successful if you're with us, I promise. Strategies that we use for Google Ads and common questions. So if you do have questions, as I said, you can ask them anytime. We'd probably wait till the end because we may well cover it. We'll show you some examples of Google Ads as well, and we'll wrap it all up. We'll have a Q&A session. As I said, we'll do our best to cover as much as we possibly can in the limited time we have with you. And without further ado, let's kick into the actual presentation. So the very, very basics of Google Ads is it's an online advertising platform to promote products and services across the web. Online marketing. You might hear it referred to also as PPC, pay per click. Now, that's the simplest form I can put it in is you pay to advertise your product or service on Google. We're talking Google Ads now. There's also other paid platforms, Bing, for example, but we're focusing on Google today because Google is, not quite a monopoly, but close enough that the other platforms don't really. We're not going to speak about them today. So, Ian, do you want to just fill in some of the blanks there I've left about the basics of Google Ads?
Sure. So it is a very comprehensive advertising platform. It's very complex and it's very powerful. You use it to promote products, services, to promote a brand. It can be a number of things that you could use Google Ads for. It gives you a competitive advantage for those who use it, and it gets you to page one of search results faster than SEO can. So that's just a little overview of it. But if we look at a little bit of these dot points that we've got here, so essentially what we do is we look at a strategy, and usually the strategy should align to your business goals and objectives. And they could be things like to increase brand awareness, to generate leads or drive bookings, could be to drive sales, maybe to get more traffic to your website, could even be application installs. And we incorporate a bidding strategy into that as well. And that's all crucial to the success of your advertising efforts. So they all work in unison together. We implement common ad formats such as responsive search ads. These adapt to more relevant messages for your customers, so they adapt on the fly. We use things like display ads, performance max ads, which go across the entire Google ecosystem. We use video ads, e-commerce, product shopping ads, and call-only ads. Sometimes the conversion for a client might be they want to receive a phone call, so there's a call-only ad as well. There are other types of ads, but they're the most common ones that we would implement. And then we use things like targeting options, such as location targeting. These are geographical targeting, like countries, regions, could be a city. We use radius targeting, so within a certain radius of your physical location, 5 kilometers, 10 kilometers, whatever that might be, could even be an address. We also use device targeting. So that could be from a desktop to target people on a mobile device, a tablet, even TV screens. It's come a long way. And then there's also audience segments on top of that, which give us things like detailed demographic targeting, affinity segments, which are for people who have interest in perhaps what your service is or the product you're selling. We have in-market segments, which are actually people looking to purchase or to take a specific action. And then we have things like life events. So it could be people getting married, could be people moving, could be a job. So they're the sort of targeting options that are available. They're quite extensive, very detailed. If we go to the analysis tools, so Google Ads itself has a range of tools and reports that allow us to analyze and optimize for better performance. And Google Ads is linked to your Google Analytics platform. So they link across to each other. Essentially, advertisers bid and you pay for clicks or impressions, which is why I guess it's called PPC or pay-per-click advertising.
Yep. So that's it. Now, that maybe wasn't so basic, but that's basically what we're talking about today. And we're going to go into more detail about all of these things. Now, it is a little important note that we have for you, and that is that the Google Ads platform itself, the system, the actual program, it works on the principle that advertisers want to grow their businesses. So presumably everyone who was in this webinar is here because they want to grow your business. Now, Google doesn't explicitly say this in their platform, but we know that that's fact. Ian, can you want to expand on that very briefly?
Yeah, so the platform itself, really, the recommendations that are made with inside the platform when we're working in there, it's all designed about growing your business. So things like increasing budget for certain reasons, changing bid strategies. The recommendations are all about growing your business. So it's nothing about going backwards. It's all about going forwards, and it thinks and assumes that you also want to do the same. So it's hoping that you're thinking that you want to grow your business, and if you are, then Google Ads is a good platform for that.
Absolutely. So here we go to probably the most basic form of a Google ad that you would all be familiar with. Anyone who's used Google in their life would be familiar with this type of ad. This is a search ad, and this is a search result that has been returned for when someone has put into the search box, hotel in Melbourne. Now, of course, these ads appear at the top above any organic result, that is above any unpaid result. So Ian, you just want to fill in here what we're seeing on the screen and what booking.com and what tripago.com have done to arrive here to have these ads served.
Okay, so this is a typical search ad, and we can see, or I can tell straight away, this is from a desktop, and it's served because the search phrase and the ad are relevant to each other. So essentially, Google has determined that the match consists between keywords, the location, so am I in the right location to receive the ad in the first place, and the phrase hotel in Melbourne. It's put some of those things together, essentially, and then it's decided to serve the ad. And we can see that there's one above the other. Two ads, one ranks higher than the other. We'll touch on ad rank a little bit later, but it's important to note that not always will your ad serve, even when you think it should. It's a really important distinction.
And is it possible
Sorry, Mick, go on.
I'm getting a bit of feedback. Julian, can you hear that?
No.
So it's just me. All right. Is it possible, Ian, that if someone was to do the exact same search, 10 minutes or 10 seconds later, that would be, the order would be changed in them, so get a totally different result from, maybe Tripago would be on top.
Yeah, you could get a different result. The order could be changed. And there'd be a number of reasons for that. It could come down to budgeting, quality scores. There's a whole host of reasons why that could happen. But essentially what we're looking at, sorry, go on, Mick.
I was going to say every single auction, every single bid is a one-off thing. They're all individual, thousands of per day.
Happening every second of the day, literally thousands of them. So essentially you've got two ads here. These are displayed at the top of the page. We know they're sponsored. We can see it tells us that in the top left-hand corner. If you've got your Google organic search results, they would appear below this. And organic results also can appear in the middle because your ads can appear at top and bottom of the page. But it's a competitive advantage that users have over many organic search results because we're at the top. That's where you want to be. We can get you to the top. That's the idea. But it's essential that you think about using both search and your organic SEO to increase your chances of connecting with customers who are looking for your product or service.
Yeah. So we'll move on to sort of the second most, I guess, Is anyone else? Are
Very
you not
common.
hearing that? Getting a lot of sort of
No,
feedback on my audio there. Not hearing.
no, I'm
Maybe
not,
it's just
no, not hearing
okay.
anything.
Um, so this is probably the second most common form of Google Ads that you'll see out there, and this is what we call a display ad. So if you look over to the right-hand side, you will see that Flight Centre ad is appearing on TripAdvisor website. So obviously someone is here searching for travel, hotels, maybe flights, whatever it is, going on holiday, and their ad is being displayed on this relevant website, a relevant ad. So Ian, do you want to just fill in the blanks there and sort of explain how
Sure.
and why this is happening?
So the display network is made up of millions of websites, apps, popular Google properties like YouTube, Gmail, Blogger, Google Finance. And of course, those properties, even though it's not essentially a property, but it extends to your mobile device. So, we all carry that around with us. So it's important to know that you're going to see display ads also on your mobile phone. These ads, you're more likely to see them when you're browsing, browsing news, checking the weather, you're reading a blog, or you're looking for travel information. And we can see here clearly that the two match here. There's a travel display that's in amongst this website, which is a travel website. So it sort of makes sense that that's what they want to see. We can see it's a strong visual representation. We can see the relevance of the ad to travel. It's quite obvious there. And yes, you can see there that over 90% of internet users are probably going to see display ads at some point. That's really the bottom line.
So display ads getting awareness of your brand.
Correct.
That's right, isn't it? And
correct.
So
they could be used to convert, but essentially most people use display ads to drive awareness, to build brand, to display a new product perhaps, because we're all on the internet basically every day. We're looking at websites, and we'll all know, you see them when you've got those ads popping up on each side of perhaps of a website or at the top, or small little panels. We all know what they look like. We've all seen them. Sometimes we don't pay attention to them, or we think we don't, but it's already planted a seed, and that's all part of what the display network is all about. It plants a seed that you might go, oh yeah, I remember that. Maybe I do need to go to Travel Centre or Flight Centre or whatever it might be.
Yeah, that's right. So it's important to note here as well that when we do any ad campaign for any client, that we would usually use a mix of all the ad types, and we're going to show you briefly more ad types here, but depending on the objectives, the goals of our client, we would normally use a mix, but quite commonly we would use display ads, which you just showed, and the search ad, of course. So, Ian, do you want to just fill in? So we've got 5 ad types listed here.
Sure.
Again, Ian, if you want to mind just filling in quickly, what are all the ad types, and then we'll show further examples as we go along.
Sure. So if we look at that first one, search ads, we've got responsive ads there. So a responsive search ad is really about matching image assets to what people are searching for. It's a little bit more driven by AI than and machine learning than the usual form, which we used to be just keyword driven. They're effective in driving leads and purchases. And you would think about this as if you're looking for health insurance as an example, you don't search on Facebook, you search on Google. So they have an intent, they're intent based. So your intention is to actually do something. It's take an action or to make a consideration. There are other types of search ads with inside the framework, and they are things like call ads, which we touched on earlier, or dynamic search ads. That's another form of ad that's available to us in that search realm. And then we go to the display ad. We can see that, display ads that we just touched on, they appear on millions of websites and Google-owned properties, Gmail, YouTube, and they can convert. So even though we talk about them in an awareness capacity, they can convert, they can create a conversion for you, but they do form more of an awareness ability and driving brand or a particular product. We've then got video ads. These are shown on YouTube, usually before, during, or after a YouTube video has already played. Most of you will be aware of these. You've probably already seen them. There are many different type of formats inside the video ads. There's things like skippable in-stream ads. You'll know these when you see them. When you're watching a YouTube video and an ad pops up, you'll see that 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 skip. that's a skippable ad. Then you've got non-skippable ads, which can be annoying because you can't actually skip through them. You've got bumper ads, you've got in-feed ads. So there's a whole range of different formats in video ads available to you. And of course, that comes with a range of targeting options as well, so that you're meeting the right people with inside those for those ads. Then if we go down, we've got shopping ads as our next one. Shopping ads, there's two types of shopping ads. There's a simple shopping ad, which I would call a standard shopping ad, and they're designed really to drive immediate product consideration and purchase. So that's the focus of those. And then there's a showcase ad, which is for brand awareness and product category introduction. So these are a product listing, and you see them in search results, and you see them in the shopping page. They're run by what's called the Merchant Center, and they do not rely on keywords. They just rely on information that's input into the Merchant Center. So product information or brand information. So they don't get triggered by keywords as such. Then we've got Performance Max ads. Performance Max are sort of like the new kid on the block. They've been around for a few years, but they've really been developed now. And they highly leverage machine learning to show ads across various platforms. In fact, the whole Google ecosystem, from search, YouTube, Gmail, display network, Google Maps, Discover. So it covers the whole Google ecosystem, and it captures people wherever they are in the purchase journey. So if they're considering something, maybe they're on their email and they'll see an ad. Maybe they're on YouTube, they'll see an ad. So they're designed to capture people at different phases of where they are in the funnel. Essentially, they're automated, multi-channel. Sorry, Mick.
I was just going to say, like, we use a combination. Quite commonly, if it's a new business, we'll definitely use display ads because we need people to be aware of them, and we'll use PMAX to give them a real turbocharge out the door, and also search ads. This is commonly for a health business, for example.
Essentially, the difference is they're automated, they're multi-channel, they're goal-oriented, and they incorporate creative assets similar to a display ad, so video, images, those sorts of things. So a bit more creative than a standard search ad, so to speak.
Yep. All right, so that's the basic rundown of the ad types that are available to us. This is one of the e-commerce ads that Ian was talking about. This from the Merchant Center. You'll see that if you are someone who's interested in e-commerce, you have a product to sell, then you really need to get into this, into the Merchant Center. Otherwise, you will always, your search listing will always be beneath this. So if you ever search for anything, with the word buy in it, B-U-Y, then you'll always be served this first, because Google serves its own purposes first and foremost. So we're hopefully we've given you a little bit of a grounding in what Google Ads are. We're going to move on. Okay, so there is some feedback coming from Ian's unmuted mic. Okay. So Ian,
yep,
we are getting feedback. So my voice is coming through your mic. So when you talk, I'm going to mute myself, and when I talk, maybe you should have to mute yourself, which is going to be interesting because we're getting a feedback loop happening here. Apologies about that. So thank you, whoever gave us that Q&A there. Thank you very much. So landing pages. This is something that is really important to the whole system that we've spoken about. So first part is you get the ad sorted out, and that's what Ian does. And then we get a landing page on your website, or not necessarily on your website. It can be also a standalone website. So landing pages are specifically designed, and that's where people end up after they click on the ad. And they're really, really focused to achieve specific outcomes. Typically a conversion. Now, a conversion is something when someone takes an action on your website that you want them to take, whether that is a filling in a form, whether that's booking an appointment, whether that's making a phone call, any desired action, and we measure all that. So we are, really, really focused on conversions, and landing pages help you to do this. So rather than just saying, hey, I want Google Ads on my website, and then you just, blast all these Google Ads at your website and they just land on your actual website that hasn't been optimized at all, we make specific pages, which we'll show you some examples in a second. And they just, usually have one focus, one goal, is that to get that specific conversion that the ad is focused on. And what we do, if you want to do this yourself, and you log into Google Business Profile and they say, hey, it's really easy to do ads, and they, you set a budget and they tell you it's really easy. What you probably won't do is you won't do this part of the program. And this is an incredibly important part, is the landing pages section. Because the better your landing page, the far more likely you will be successful with the whole campaign, and the less money you will give to Google. So landing pages, I know I gave you a fair bit of information then, but Ian, if you want to just talk about, like, this is the difference. So the benefits of landing pages, which Ian will go through here, as opposed to just, as I said, just opening up a fire hose and spraying ads at a website which has had no landing pages built and is not optimized for conversions. And if you want to just briefly go over these points here, and I shall mute myself so we don't get that nasty feedback.
No problem. Okay, so really a well-optimized landing page will always convert at a higher rate. That's the first thing everyone should know. It will increase the number of users who complete a desired action, such as Mick touched on this, a purchase, a booking, filling out a form, whatever it is you're actually, wanting as your goal. It's really important that you have a converting landing page. The next thing on our list is we've got an improved quality score. So by having a landing page, you can improve that quality score, which probably most of you are not going to realise or understand what that is. I'm going to try and touch on that now. So a quality score measures the relevance and usefulness of the ad to the user and the landing page. So it looks at things like click-through rate, keyword, ad relevance, and the quality of your landing page. So if your quality of your landing page is not great, that's going to affect your quality score. A higher quality score can lead to lower costs and better ad positions, so better ad rank. So that's a really important one. Lower costs, better ad positions. And ads are not reliant on the quality score. So what I mean by that, Google doesn't look at the quality score and go, we're going to incorporate that quality score to move you higher up the list. That quality score is for us internally to look at, to make adjustments to your ad, to your landing page, the keywords, whatever it is, to try and get people to convert. The quality score is really one of the most important things, and it does relate heavily to that landing page because it looks at everything on the landing page. A landing page enhances the user experience. So, if the landing page is easy to navigate, provides relevant information, it can improve the user experience, which also leads to higher engagement and conversion rates. It's just a matter of fact. Landing pages are data-driven. So we use the data that we get from a single landing page to continually improve the landing page. So if you think about trying to improve a whole website, it takes a long time, but to improve a landing page can be a little bit shorter because it's one page. But nonetheless, it still has to be improved and developed. And we can optimize that by using the data. We can tailor the message and the design on a single landing page. We can tailor that to the ad. We can tailor that to what we're trying to achieve. And it reassures users that they're in the right place. So when they've clicked on an ad that says, red running shoes, and they land on a page that's full of red running shoes, they know they're in the right place. It also gives us the ability to measure results a little bit better. So we can track the metrics of a landing page, a single landing page, far better than you can by having a whole heap of pages that you've got to track. It makes it much easier to understand conversion rates, what people are doing, and it gives you valuable insights about the landing page and how it's performing. It also gives us the opportunity to have an uninterrupted journey. So the user journey is really important. So from the landing page, it needs to be a seamless transition from the ad to conversion. So we want them to see the ad, get to the landing page, read some information perhaps, and then take an action. And we want that to be as uninterrupted as possible. So we don't want them going to other pages on your website. We want them to stay on this page and convert. And of course, it then gives us the ability to A/B test. So by A/B testing, it means we can create two pages that look basically the same, but they might have some subtle differences. The calls to action might be different. Some of the content might be different. Some of the images might be different. Some of the text might be different. But what it'll do is it'll enable us to test one against the other. So specific landing pages, they're vital. And the most important thing, or one of the most important things, is they do not mess with your SEO, because they're specifically designed for ads only. So whatever you do on the landing page does not upset your search engine optimization that we do for organic results.
Great stuff, Mozza. You might mute yourself there. So yeah, thank you, Ian. And that's important as well, because as he touched on the last little bit there, you know, what you're trying to achieve with organic SEO is sometimes, you know, not exactly coordinated with what you're trying to achieve with your ads. In healthcare, that's especially important because, for example, if you want to advertise things like Botox, for example, or IUD, Mirena insertion, that they're not allowed to be advertised by Google. They have very strict, like a lot of restrictions on those type of stuffs, on those kind of keywords. So, you know, you literally cannot advertise and have the word Botox, but for your organic SEO, you may want to, you know, score very highly for Botox. So it's those type of considerations as well. So here's some landing page examples that show you. So one of the examples we're going to show you is a campaign that we did for a business called Business Solar. So they are a partner of Origin Energy, and we were hired to get them leads for B2B, so business to business, solar panels, solar power for their businesses. And we were hired to do this, and we started a campaign, a Google Ads campaign, of course, which we've been speaking about, using pretty much mainly search, I believe, maybe a tiny bit of other stuff, but it was mainly a search campaign. And then we designed and wrote and developed this landing page. Now, this landing page, if you look at it and you go through the whole thing, you might go, geez, that's a lot of information. It's a bit busy. You know, you might think that is the case, but I can tell you that we developed this over about a 9-month period. You know, the first iteration of the page didn't look like this, especially. But as we worked through the data, we worked through all the information we're getting back from the results we're getting, we eventually ended up tweaking this this landing page and making it work perfectly with the Google Ads campaign, and we end up getting, you know, incredibly positive results. So I think we got them. We've got the results here. You know, 10,000 clicks at a 4.59% conversion rate, which is very good. 66% of the leads we got went through to a full proposal. So that means that we weren't getting junk leads. We were getting the exact leads that they wanted. And it was a 50K total ad spend, so minimal really over 12 months. And we got them, you know, 430 qualified leads. Now, some of those leads that they got, the value of that conversion would be $500,000. So that's all just through the power of one landing page, a pretty small budget, myself working on the landing page, Ian doing the Google Ads. And I can tell you, maybe I shouldn't tell you, but we outperformed Origin Energy's actual marketing, internal marketing division, which probably has a budget of multi-million dollars. We outperformed them by a lot with one page, one well-designed page, one perfectly calibrated Google Ads campaign, which we worked on endlessly. So Ian made hundreds of changes to that Google Ads campaign, and I made hundreds of changes to the landing page. But guess what? If you do it properly, it works, and people make very good return on their investment. And so that also, I should say, this is a standalone website called a landing page, but it's actually we registered a domain. So this is a one-page website, still called a landing page, but there's some different terminologies. But essentially, it's a landing page, but we actually registered on a domain because the Business Solar didn't have its own website before we started. We go across to another example. So this is a company, a mining company. Actually, they provide mining labor and dump truck bodies and stuff, and they are in Western Australia, and they have an existing website. So we just built this land website already. So this is a landing page that we wrote and developed and designed for this company, that they need to hire highly qualified applicants because it's extremely competitive. There's not enough good heavy diesel mechanics in Australia, and to get the best heavy diesel mechanic is extremely competitive in the mining industry over there in Perth. And so we developed this landing page, again, made it work, function perfectly with the ads campaign. And it has also achieved excellent results. And so again, though, we changed this page a lot to get those results, a lot. And maybe I'll just get Ian to speak here. I'll briefly mute myself, but Ian, can you talk a little bit about what type of ads we ran to this? I think it was mainly search, but I think you ran a variety of ads to arrive at this page.
Yeah, so we essentially did run search ads, but we also had some video ads running. We did have some display running, and we chopped and changed a little bit, worked out what was working and what was not working, made some changes. Some of them got turned off, some of them got turned on, which is common when you're performing ad work. You often turn things off. You see that it's not doing what you think it would do. The data suggests it's not doing, so you might make some changes. But essentially, this page has been very successful. The campaign itself has been very successful, and it continues to perform. So even now, it's still performing really highly. So it's a high converting page, and even though it's a simple form at the end, people are willing to fill that out and send through things through their details. It's a really good campaign that works really well.
So yeah, that one was just the conversion for this is fill out this form, and you can see we have reviews, lots of information about the company. A lot of these stuff in here, we put keywords, we sprinkle keywords in throughout the content that as seamlessly as possible. Apply now buttons everywhere, and it's all aimed at getting people to fill out this form. So we shall return now. That's just a couple of examples. Like we've got 10s, 20s, 30s, hundreds of these landing pages, but that's just a couple of examples that we'll show you today. So we move on now to, I guess, a really important part of the whole thing we're talking about here today is measuring success, metrics, tracking, all this sort of stuff, reporting. Because if you are doing traditional advertising, such as broadcast, radio, newspaper, leaflets, whatever it is, all those things are good. That's great. Not saying anything bad about them. But the thing about online advertising, Google Ads, is that we can measure everything. There is no mystery. Someone clicks on that ad, someone goes through that website, we know about it. Google Ads that tracks it. We've got Google Analytics that tracks it. We can also do heat maps that track the web page itself. So you know exactly how your money is being spent and the results that are coming from that. Now, Ian, I'll mute myself here, and you can talk about just some of the main metrics that we are interested in. I know there's hundreds, but the main ones that we're really interested in. You just want to touch on those.
Sure. Well, there's actually thousands. We've got hundreds there, but there's literally thousands of metrics available to us. But they're fundamental to understanding, how your Google Ads campaign performs. Without them, you're really just working blindly. So we use the information that we get, the data that we get, to make decisions about what we're going to do next. So we've just got some very simple, common ones here on the screen. We'll just quickly touch on these. So there's impressions and clicks. So these metrics are how many times your ad was shown. They're called an impression. So when we say shown, that's also could be served. People might say served. So how often the ad was served doesn't necessarily mean that you saw it. Someone saw it. We don't know that. That would be a viewed impression. We don't actually know that data. Google doesn't really know that data. You can't determine where you're looking on the screen. Well, probably can, but we don't get that data. And then it looks at how many times the user has clicked on the ad. So simple impressions and clicks, they're the basic fundamental of everyday Google Ads activity. The cost per click, this is important because it does relate to your budget, the CPC. So if a cost per click is $2 and you've only got a $20 budget, that's only 10 clicks. So it does relate. So it's the average cost of what you pay when someone clicks on your ad. it's usually, well, it's calculated as the CPC is your total cost divided by the clicks. And the goal over time is to lower that CPC to make the cost per click lower. And we do that by exploring and optimizing things like keywords, different match types for your keywords, improving the copy and relevance of your ads, and adjusting bid strategies. Then you've got things like click-through rate. This is an important metric that shows the percentage of people that saw your ad and clicked on it. So what was that click-through rate? I think we had one before, which was about 5-point-something%. That might actually sound low, but depending on the volume, that actually could represent quite a high number. Obviously, we like to get a higher number. The higher click-through rate, the better it is, obviously. And site links and things like that help that, and we'll touch on that a little bit later. But basically, a click-through rate is your clicks divided by your impressions by 100. So the example might be I've had 25 clicks, 500 impressions, and that's multiplied by 100 gives me 5%. And the goal here is to improve that click-through rate. Then we've got conversions and conversion rate. This is probably the most important next to the very last one on the list, but this is really important. So conversions are what we all aim to get, and the conversion rate. So it's the percentage of people who clicked on your ad and took a desired action. So it's such as making the purchase or signing up for a newsletter. So the conversion rate's really, really important. Now this might include, things like app installs. It could be video views. It depends what your goals are. Would be the conversion, and the conversion rate is a simple calculation. It's conversions divided by total ad interactions multiplied by 100%. Formulas are everything. We don't actually have to worry about them. The system does them for us. So we don't actually have to manually make those. Then we've got quality score. We touched on this a little bit earlier. Quality score is super important. Quality score is a 1 out of 10. So it gives you a score of 1 out of 10, and it reflects how relevant your ad and keywords are to the user's query and landing page. The higher that quality score can lead to, and we talked about this earlier, lower costs and better ad positions. That's lower cost, better ad position. Quality score is really important. Return on investment. This is the overall profitability of your ad campaign. And it's just calculated. It's considered, your total revenue generated from ad clicks divided by the total ad spend. Obviously, it's a little bit more than that, but essentially you want to know what the return on investment is. And the only way to really know that is to actually have the value of your conversion. So if a conversion costs $100 each and you've had $2,000 in sales, then we can actually calculate that out. We can calculate what your return is. So if you've had 20 sales and your total campaign cost was $400, you'd have a return on investment of 400%. So your ROI would be 400%. So it's $2,000 in sales minus your cost, which is 400, divided by your cost, multiplied by 100% would give you your ROI. Again, another formula that we don't really have to worry about as long as we have a value. So, and we optimize your Google ad campaigns for better performance to maximize that return on investment. That's what we try to do every day. We don't guess. We don't just make random guesses. We use the data to determine what we need to do to make sure that we give you the best possible opportunity to get a return.
Thanks, Moz. Great work, mate. Now, what I'm going to do now is show you some results that we get for some of our clients. Now, this is obviously, we're not showing you the name of the client. We're blurring that out. I'll tell you, it's in the healthcare industry broadly. So this is a report. This comes from our reporting software, but the information is all dragged in from Google Ads and Google Analytics. So we can't mess with the numbers here. This is not Photoshop. This is real. So this is for 1 month of campaign that we run for this business, Australian business. I'll go through the numbers with you. So in 1 month, total clicks on ads. It's an important metric. We always measure that. You can see they had over 10,000 clicks on the ads. The average cost of that click was 44 cents, which is good. I'll tell you, when we've been working with this client for 3 years, and the cost of the click when we first started was much higher. Again, that goes to what Ian was talking about with the quality score, because the quality score wasn't as good. The average cost per conversion, $1.07. Again, very low, But the big number, which everyone is always interested in, is this beautiful big number at the end. Nearly 250K in revenue. That's revenue, okay, for the month. We know this because they've given us an average cost, an average revenue per completion, per purchase, per conversion, I guess you could say. So we're able to extrapolate that out, and we can get this number at the end here, which we have confirmed with the client is, pretty accurate in terms of what they're seeing it when they actually do their accounting at the end of the month. Now, to achieve this has cost them. So we run, these are the ad campaigns are running down the side here. That's not all of them, but this is a snapshot. In Google Ads spend, so that's not including our fee. We do charge to do this, but surprisingly little. The ad spend is $3,975 to achieve this number here at the end, which is $246,000. Now, that's obviously a successful campaign. Call me crazy, but I think that you call that a successful campaign, right? So, but I can tell you that when we first started with this client, all these numbers were nowhere near as pretty as this. But we kept going. We did all the things we spoke about. Client had faith in what we were doing, and saw that there was great potential, and there was absolutely demand for the service that they are offering. So we went through this whole process. We did massive changes on the Google Ads, which Ian could speak to probably, but he's muted. We made a whole new website. We made several optimized landing pages, and over the years, all of a sudden, not all of a sudden, actually through a lot of hard work, the results started to come. So that 246K for a month is, a pretty good month, but they have many months like that. So if you stick to it, and if you have a product or service that has demand and has a good return, then Google Ads absolutely can be a gold mine for you. You just have to determine whether or not, as I said before, whether or not there is demand enough, and whether or not you've got a high enough margin on that service. I mean, if a conversion's costing you $1.70 and you're making, $2 on the product, clearly it's not worth it all the time, energy, and effort, because, our fee would eat that up every month. So you'd have to make that determination. And if you were to come to a company like us or an agency like us or anyone, and you come in with your idea, then obviously that is, part of the initial assessment is this Google Ads right for you? So that's a real world example from one of our clients. Strategies. Now we're really getting close to the end here, guys. So we've eaten up so much time now. Strategy. Basically, what we're talking about here is you come to us, or you go to a Google Ads agency, maybe it's not us, and what they need to do, anyone who's doing it properly, is need to research, determine a lot of things before you turn on any of these ads. So what are your goals? Who's your target audience? Competitor analysis is a huge thing. We have to work on the ad copy, assets, images, keyword research, budget. There are 10 million things to take into consideration before you just leap in to doing anything with Google Ads, because if you make mistakes, it's expensive, right? Because you're just paying for, you're just making Google richer. They don't care. Google doesn't care if you're winning. They don't care. As long as you're clicking on that ad, they couldn't care less. So where people like us come in is to make the most of that spend, because mistakes are costly. I'll move on to the next one. Sorry, and I'm just locking you out here because I want to keep you in for the next bit's really important. So Google Ad objectives. So when you actually log into Google Ads and you go through the process, you are greeted by a screen like this. So the program does actually help you a little bit in determining what your goals are. But before Google Ads, you must work with your agency, determine what are your objectives. And I guess a really big one to talk about is budget. Now, budget is a huge thing. It's a really hot topic, and it's the thing that everyone's really most interested in when it comes down to it. And we will touch on that in the frequently asked questions, which we'll get to very shortly. But here are some strategy examples in practice. Now, Ian, I'll let you just talk about what you're seeing on the screen here. This is, Amazon Prime. Obviously got a pretty big budget, I reckon. Just talk about what we're seeing here, what their strategy would be.
So essentially, if you were trying to get some brand awareness or product awareness, they've created a display ad. We can see that there. Display ad leverages, we talked about this, demographic targeting, interest targeting, in-market audience targeting. So if you're looking for a streaming service, it knows you're a target, already knows that. And you don't actually know that you're a target, but it knows you're a target because you've searched and you've looked at other streaming services perhaps. It's leveraging high quality images. It could have leveraged video also to attract attention. And you can see that the ad placement is actively on a participant, which is in this case news.com. So news.com are participating in the Google Display Network. And what they're doing is they're allowing this ad to appear on their site. So it's great for the advertiser because it's getting maximum eyeballs on it because a lot of people go to news.com. Could have been a PMax ad, and they could have done remarketing. So remarketing is when someone has taken an action, they've actually done something, but maybe they didn't convert. So I said an action, but I'm really saying they clicked on this ad, they landed where they wanted to go, but they didn't actually do anything. They might have started to put something in the cart, maybe a streaming service, but abandoned it. You can remarket to those people. You cannot do it in healthcare though, unfortunately. Remarketing in healthcare is something that can't be done. Just how it is, one of the Google's rules. It's a great way though to showcase, awareness campaigns, a great way to showcase products visually and get brand recall. We look at this next one, we can see straight away here that we've got, this is a search campaign, and we can see that really what's gone on here is that someone has actually typed in the words, and we know this, they've typed in the words chemist pharmacy. And we know this because we can see the word chemist and pharmacy are both highlighted, they're both bolded. So we can tell that they were the keywords that they used in when they searched for it. And of course, we can see that it's brought up the Chemist Warehouse ad, and their quality score is quite good. So we don't know where this actual position was on the page, but we know that their quality score was probably good. And the reason we can tell that is because we can see they've got site link extensions. You can see that down the bottom. That enables you to make a quick decision to perhaps go somewhere else. Like I want to go and see their store location. I want to check out the fragrances, whatever it might be. But these ads are search intent. They're an intent-based ad. So they had an intention to do something. They were looking for a chemist pharmacy. And that's how they ended up at Chemist Warehouse.
Great stuff, Ian. Now, okay, we've only really, we may run a little long here, Julian, hope you don't mind, but look, we've got some common questions to answer. So we get asked a lot of questions on a daily basis about Google Ads. And one of the first ones, or probably the first one, the one that everyone is most interested in, is how much money do I budget for my ads? And the answer I'm going to give you, of course, is, well, it depends. There is no right, wrong, it's how long's a piece of string. That really depends on a bunch of factors. How competitive the market is would be a good one. How much you can make from a conversion. So what is the value to you of a conversion? What's realistic for your business as well? How much you're comfortable spending per day. There's just so many variables that go into determining your budget that it's really impossible to give an answer about that here in a webinar without knowing, what your product or service is to begin with. Also, some of the campaigns we do are really complex, and that means it takes a lot of our work, and that would be the same for any industry. So it depends on, it depends on so much stuff, but campaign complexity is absolutely something that we need to consider. And I know it sounds like just a politician thing to say, but the bigger budgets, big budgets get bigger results. But also, if you are managing a huge budget, like we do sometimes, we have people that spend many thousands of dollars with us per month. It requires more management by us because it's a lot of money for us to be handling. And yeah, it's I think I've said enough there. Ian, do you want to just jump in here and mention budgets just a little bit, because I know it's such.
It is a hot topic. It is a real hot topic. So how much should you have? As much as you can afford to spend, obviously, but typically a small or local business should be considering around a $1,500 mark as your start in for your spend. The reason why I say that is because if we go back to that that cost per click analogy. If you've only got $30 a day to spend, so that's $990 or whatever it is a month. If you've only got $30 a day to spend and the cost of a click is $4 or $5, it's not very many clicks a day. So it's really important to know that. Plus, if you have a small budget, what happens is your ads will evaporate during the course of the day. As soon as I've had 6 clicks, that's it. They're not going to show anymore. So it doesn't matter what you do, your ad cannot show once your budget is exhausted for the day. So it's important that you understand that budget is imperative to getting success. Small budgets, yes, you can achieve some good results, and we've done that, and we still do that for clients. But the bigger the budget, the more likely you are to get more conversions, the more likely you are to get a bigger return on your investment. That's really the bottom line of it.
Thanks, Dan. Yep. So yeah, I think we've covered that, and hopefully, again, if you have questions about your business, specific questions, then email me. I'm very happy to answer them. mick@heartbeatdigital.com.au. Now, how much do we charge to set up, manage, and maintain our ads? And again, that aligns to your goals in relation to your ads. Considerations are similar to those on the previous slide, but if you're paying, you will be paying an agency like us or similar to us, normally $1,000 to start managing your Google Ads, because there's an enormous amount of work. That's a ballpark figure. Obviously, it's a starting figure. To do bigger, more complex campaigns costs a lot more than $1,000, but to get a seat at the table, you're roughly looking at $1,000 to get a seat at the table for us to manage all this sort of stuff for you. And then again, obviously, as I said, many different factors come into play, but that would be a broad brush answer. Okay, Ian, I'll let you answer this next one. I searched for my ads, but can't see them. This is something we get all the time from our clients. It's something that I'm going to let Ian handle.
Yeah, look, there are many reasons why you won't see your ad if you search for it. There's heaps of them, but these are 3 really common ones that we've got on the screen here. The first one is that, as I mentioned before, if your daily budget is evaporated, your ad cannot show. So if you've had 6 clicks, you had a $30 budget for the day, you had 6 clicks by 10 a.m., you go in at 11 o'clock, you search for your ad, it's never going to show, no matter how hard you try, because your budget's already expired. Personalization, and that's another big thing. So this is where you've previously clicked on a competitor ad, or you've shown disinterest. So if you have no interest in that until comes a time when you go, oh, I want to see my own ad, well, Google's already decided that you haven't been interested, so it won't serve the ad and show you. So that's just another reason. And then there's the competition or the competitive impact. So competitors themselves don't actually, even if they have a bigger budget, doesn't mean that their ad is going to show more than yours or above yours, or that you won't see it. All it means is that perhaps their budget combined with their quality score, their targeting methods, their location, what that means is that your ad might not show, theirs might show above yours, and it might continue, others might show. So if you've got 4 competitors who are spending more, they've got more quality score, they've got more of everything, it will push your ad further down, so you may not see it. Plus, you might search in your own location, you search from home, but the location itself might be in a different suburb. It won't show because you're searching from a different suburb where the ad is not designed to show. So there's lots of reasons. There's literally an arm's length number of them, but that's just a few common ones.
All right, now, Ian, we actually have a question in the Q&A here about ad rank. To hit this quick as you possibly can, but ad rank, it's a big one, so do your best, mate. Okay,
so this is a really good a good example of what ad rank looks like. So you can see that the person who bid $2 is actually is highest. That's going to be the first one that ranks. And that's because they've got a high quality score, they've got a high format, so that ad rank score is 20, and so they're finished in first place. But the person who spent $4, you would think, well, they've got more budget, why aren't they on top? It's because they had a low quality score, their format was low, so they had the wrong formatting, and their ad rank score was so low that their ad didn't show at all. So So quality score becomes really important, and it is part of that whole ad rank situation. So it's your bid, your quality score, it's the formatting of your ad. Did you have site links in it? Did you have what's called snippets? We also have things like call out site assets. There's image assets. There's a whole host of other assets that go along with that that also determine that format impact. And that format impact, if it's low, even if you spend $4, you can see you could spend $4, have a maximum bid of $4, but still not end up in the race. So sometimes the lowest bid will win. And in this case, it was the second lowest. They had $2. They finished first.
Thanks, Mozza. That was great. Now, here's another one we see all the time. How long before I see results? Now, I'll just preface what Ian's about to say. It's not a magic wand, but it is quicker than anything else. SEO is great, but it will take months, whereas you can see immediate results with Google Ads. But Ian, can you just touch on this, please? And this was probably be one of our last slides we share with you before we wrap up. But Ian, please just give us how fast you can see results.
Okay, so the initial learning phase for all ads is about 5 to 7 days. And that's because Google's out gathering the data, it's looking at your ad, it's gathering data, it's gathering information. So it's learning what the ad is about, who your target audience is, it's learning that information. So the first 5 or 7 days, you should expect nothing. That doesn't mean that nothing will happen. Something may, but essentially that's the initial period. You also have what's called a relearning phase if we have to make major adjustments. So let's say 3 months goes down the track. If we make major adjustments to your ad campaign, then what might happen is it might reinitiate that learning phase. It might take another 5 to 7 days. Initial traction, 2 to 4 weeks. So within 2 to 4 weeks after that initial 5 to 7 days, you should start to see, or we will start to see activity. And you may even see conversion. So you may already start to convert, and it might be quite successful quite early on, but you should not expect a lot of big growth in those early phases. It's very unlikely that you're going to get explosive growth. Meaningful results, you should allow yourself 3 to 6 months. Because if you're thinking, oh, it's going to be a 2-month window and I'm going to start, seeing a lot of activity, I'm going to see a lot of conversions, that's probably not going to happen. It's not realistic, particularly again, if your budget's small, your cost per click is quite high or higher, then it's going to take time. And it takes us time to get the data in, to make adjustments, to optimize your campaign, to get those meaningful results. But it means being patient. If you're patient, Google Ads will be very successful and can be successful for all industries. So it's about patience. It's not a magic wand, as Mick said.
Thank you, Ian. Excellent stuff as per usual. So we'll wrap up now. There's a few questions in the question box as well, which we'll try to answer. So just to wrap up briefly, Google Ads offers tools for advertisers to bid on keywords and pay for clicks or impressions. That's the basics of it. It assumes you want to grow. There are lots of different ad types. And as we said earlier, we use a variety of different ad types for our clients. For example, if you're a new clinic starting up in a new suburb, or, you're a fresh, we've done this as one case. I remember last year they were suburb in Sydney in Australia. They wanted everyone to know who they were, and they also wanted to get bookings for their doctors. So we did a display campaign so that they would know that, everyone in the area would know that there was a new doctor there. We did a search campaign. We did a PMAX campaign. So all these things work in conjunction with each other for a successful campaign. And also just want to reiterate that how important those landing pages are. Data and analytics, that's really what separates Google Ads online advertising from, traditional forms of advertising. And if you really want to make a success of this, it's planning, research, making sure you get your budget right, clear objectives are all really important. Ian, just before we answer the questions, is there anything you want to add to this wrapping up? Any sort of key message you want to get back to us?
The only one that I would say is, if you're considering Google Ads, a lot of people in the past might have said, oh, they've tried it, had no success with it. it really does require some expertise. And I know that's probably pumping up our own tires, but it is a fact that we do this every day. We do this for our daily job. So if you're not in Google Ads, you shouldn't expect to be successful at it as perhaps we can be with it. So if you're considering trying to grow your business and you're thinking about Google Ads, they are and can be successful if it's given the right scope, I guess, to perform. That's probably my closing comment, I would say.